So with the order the planets we're giving, I'm sort of giving them in the order that they're developing within us. Okay, so first the Moon child planet, then the Mars child planet. Specifically, the development is focused in the age of the Moon or the age of Mars, as I talked about. While that's happening, though, the Sun and Saturn, parental minds are always being developed too, based on what the child mind is feeling. Because the parental mind that we develop, it has the goal of, let's get this child mind, love, and connection. And all the crazy things our parent mind thinks, whether they're good or bad things, working or not working thing, are there for that purpose. Okay? So they're developing next to the child mind and continuing to develop. Now the age of these planets is much later. The age of the Sun is from 50 to 70, and Saturn is from 70 onward. So I just want to talk briefly about the age of the Sun. Okay? So, the age of the Sun is ideally the age where you can live out the inspirations of your your parent mind the most fully. So all the do's that the Sun is saying, yes, this is what I have to do, this is what I have to be, this is what's right for me, hopefully you'll be able to really flow with those. Okay? Depending on what your circumstances are. Okay, now, the better your parent mind has been, which means the better the ages of Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, which are the ages before 50, the more you're going to be situated to have the freedom to follow your own dues. Okay? You basically have two forces: your freedom of your power, which is the Sun, and your restrictions and limitations, which is Saturn. Okay? If you have a lot of debts, when you go into your Sun age with a lot of debt, which is Saturn, you might have to keep that shitty job and do the things you really want, are inspired to do in the middle of the night, which is not as good as being able to work less during that time, or have more free time to focus on your solar dues. Okay? So those three ages are developing you up to be ready to really enjoy this Sun age. Okay? Now your adult mind is rich, and you turn 50 because you've been developing your adult mind from 3 to 50, 47 years of that. Okay? Wow. Now your adult mind is ready to launch you into really living your life as yourself. Now, we really can't do that until the adult mind is fully developed, because our should-do mind, or what's right for me mind, is not fully developed, is not pure. The Sun's going to be getting some bad influences, right? And the Sun's going to be likely causing some starvation or some other trouble to some planets, or agitation. So commonly agitation, right? So you're always going to have the Sun causing some trouble. The single most common problem the Sun is going to cause is he's going to be agitating Mercury and starving Saturn to some degree. Okay? Those are the two most common. Sometimes he'll starve and agitate Venus, but he's never going to do it by aspects. So he's not going to do it as often as Mercury usually, okay? Venus spends more time out of the Sun sign than Mercury does. Mercury spends more time right there in the sign with the Sun, okay? So there's always something in your solar parental mind that the adult minds have to straighten out, okay? And those are the limitations you're working on when you hit your Sun age, which is meant to be the best age of your life. Depending on the damage your Sun is causing in your chart and the damage your Sun is receiving, that shows the work you have to do when your Sun age hits to really enjoy the age of your Sun. So, alright, you hit 50, there's work to do, but more importantly, there's a lot of life to live. What's the work to do? Look at everything that your Sun is doing bad. Is it with Mercury? Is it with Venus? Is it with any planet? Work on that agitation. Okay? That agitation is limiting your solar, the great solar things in your life, which means you living as yourself, getting all the connection and love and joy that comes from that, okay? Then look at what's happening to the sun. Is it started by Venus? Is it started by Saturn? Not by sign. By Venus, by conjunction, and by Saturn by conjunction or aspect. Okay? You have to work through those things, using your adult mind, using what you've learned, taking your adult mind, and using what you learned in this class. And taking your adult mind and finding the right other techniques and therapies, whatever help you need, use your adult mind to really get that sun gleaming. You know, you won't want to live your life with the cloudy day. You want a nice, bright sun that knows the truth of your life. And it's your parent mind that you need to use to heal that. So this age from 50 to 70 is the age where you're actually most capable of healing, most capable of living as yourself. Your limitations are what the sun is doing and what's happening to the sun during this time. And you have your adult mind ready to help you. Now, any afflictions to your adult mind is going to make it harder for them to help your sun though, right? Okay? Which means that you'll have to polish up any adult mind planets. But maybe you're lucky and all your adult mind planets are like, yay. Alright, good. You don't have to polish up your adult mind. Unfortunately, we also have something called child minds. So, your child mind is always a limitation. Because that's what you started your life in, right? Child mind. That's with you. Always. That inner child, that child mind's always with you. So, now we're in the parent age, son. Finally you're in a parent age, and it's the parent's job to, in some ways, it's the parent's job to protect the child and take care of it. But it only can do it when it's educated properly by the adult mind. So, in the sun age, the adult planets have to educate the sun to the truly right things for them, and the sun has to be a strong parent to protect and take care of your child mind. Okay? Because the sun is ultimately the leader. It's going to say, this is how my child mind is going to live. In my kingdom, the kids get daycare with popcorn, okay? That's what it needs to decide. In my kingdom, this is how the kids are being treated. And it needs to do that in a truthful way. Which means in my kingdom, the child mind gets healed. So we also need the adult planets to go over there and look at that child mind and say, oh, fuck, what's wrong with these kids? And say, what do these kids need? And go over to the son, the king, who's going to be ruling the kingdom, and say, these kids in this kingdom really need this. And so let's make part of the should do what these kids need. And hopefully you've had some decent success and some good things happening in your adult mind years, that when you go into the sun age, you have the time to focus on these things. It's really the most greatest period of healing possible in our lives. And it's the greatest period of living as yourselves possible. Okay? But that doesn't mean it's free. No. You have to work through all the afflictions in your chart this way. First, work out the sun stuff with your parent adult mind. Then use your adult mind to help you understand your children. Tell the king this is what they need. Okay? Jupiter and Venus especially are directly connected to the child mind, right? Because, remember, the child mind is moon, it rules Cancer, it's exalted in Taurus, ruled by Venus, exalted in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, exalted in Cancer, right? It's Jupiter and Venus' job to go to the king and say, this is what the children in your kingdom need. And that's why Jupiter and Venus are the Brahmins, the advisors of the king. See, in the king doesn't just say, this is what I'll do today. He does it. Jupiter and Venus, the two gurus, levitate on into the palace, float before the king and say, wise king, pun intended, this is what you need to do. Because of course the levitating gurus are the wise people, right? But they say, oh, good and wise king. This is what, we advise this in your kingdom. We've been levitating, floating around, watching the kids, and this is what we advise in your kingdom. And the king goes, I respect you and God, and so I will do this. See, that's a true king. He takes the wisdom of these two planets, of these two counselors. So we have to use these two adult minds and go observe what's wrong in the kingdom. And then tell the king, this is what needs to be done. And the king needs to have a spine and be able to say, okay, this is what's going to happen. And by the spine, I mean good avashtas receiving and good avashtas causing. So you have to work on those avashtas so you can have a king who can actually rule the kingdom. If you have Sun aspecting Saturn strongly, your king is spending way too much time in the gambling halls and stuff like that, getting drunk, not necessarily literally drunk, but basically wasting time in life on things that aren't supporting the kingdom. The true kingdom. Might seem like it's helping the kingdom, but is it really? No, it's not. So then you have to first get away from doing those things that you need to let go of. Because remember, Sun starving Saturn is, in my kingdom I do things that are stupid, that aren't right. I build houses out of dung. That's the Sun starving Saturn. I build a life that's not right. I build a life and work on things and focus on things that aren't even me. Okay? So of course, the adult planets have to show up and say, oh, wise king, please stop doing this. It's not help. See how it's not helping your kingdom? Okay? So it's critical these adult planets help. Now, if you don't have good adult planets, you need a coach. Okay? If you have good adult planets, you don't need no one. Okay? In the sense of getting you to move forward. Okay? But if you don't have good adult planets, you need a coach. So go get a coach. Get someone who will give you the advice that will help you with things. Okay? Alright. And really, one of the wonderful things people could do who are learning this material is you can get together and read each other's charts and become each other's coaches and say, oh, what your planet needs, and help each other and do PAC counseling, right? Okay. Okay, so that's what we have to do in the Sun age. Now, in the old Hindu books, it says that, you live as a householder, and at 50, you're free, and you need to go live a life of a sannyasi in the woods. Which means your kids are grown up, your land is settled and secure, your kids are taking care of everything. Which means you started having kids young, obviously. You didn't have your first kid at 45, okay? You had your kid at 17, 18, 19 when respectable folk have kids. So that by the time you're 50, you're free, right? Okay. Free of children, really. But at some point in the age of the Sun, it's normal for people to be able to be free of the burdens of children. By burdens, I mean, not in a heavy word, but just the fact that those little guys will stay alive if I don't look at them for 10 minutes, okay? So, at that point, you get to go to the jungle. And the jungle means, does it mean you just really go into the jungle and you sit around and meditate? No, I don't think what these old books were talking about, okay? First of all, the jungle can't survive everyone above the age of 50. There's simply not enough food there. So, everyone can't be running to the jungle at the age of 50, okay? The jungle, I think they're talking about, is the Rahu jungle. Also in the age of the Sun is when you're going to be most equipped to go into the Rahu jungle, okay, in the best way you've been able to. Does that mean a good way? Well, you've got to deal with the problems in your chart. I'm just saying the best way you've been able to. I'm not saying a good way, okay? Your best way might be really bad, depending on your chart, but it's the best way for you, okay? So, wherever your Rahu jungle is, yes, it's going to be continuing time to go into that jungle because that's where we evolve, right? We evolve in the Rahu jungle. The jungle has the things we need that are going to help us heal the child mind, as I talked about in the beginning. So, one of the other things happening at the age of 50 is we get to become jungle hermits. Okay? Even if your jungle is the 7th house. Be a hermit with a wonderful person. Wow. That's your hermitage. Jungle hermit, wherever that house is. Remember, part of the age of 50 and onward, 50 to 70, is to take care and develop through the experiences of your Rahu house. Okay? And it's not important how successful you are with the Rahu house. It never was. All that matters is how the Rahu house changes you. So don't look at your Rahu house like, oh, I did a great job, or wow, my Rahu house isn't working. No. How did your Rahu house change you? Did your Rahu house change you into a better person? If so, great job at your Rahu house. Okay? But or did your Rahu house change you into a worse person every time? Ooh, not so good. The goal is to go into the jungle and become a better person. The goal is not into the jungle and love eating, the gross food there. Okay? The goal is to go in the jungle and become a better person. And if you so happen to enjoy that jungle and thrive in the jungle, so much the better. Some people actually get that. Okay? A lot of people do. But if not, doesn't matter. All that matters is you grow in the jungle. Alright? And so you will be growing in the jungle. Lots of opportunities to grow in the jungle at the age of the sun from 50 to 70. Okay? Alright, next we're going to do a series of videos on Saturn. Thank you.